everybody, Questwise here, and I came across something cool today in the Pulp Alley core rulebook. I was doing some research, making some characters for another game that I'm putting together. Um, just some campaign ideas. I'm always doing that kind of stuff. Whenever I have some free time, I'm flipping through this thing looking for new ideas or ways that I can make a campaign that I have in mind work in Pulp Alley. And I guess I've known that this section has always been here, but I guess I just sort of brushed over it, and it was never something I thought I would need at any given time. But it's on page 103 of the Pulp Alley core rulebook, and it's inside this small section on pulp genres, and it's under pulp westerns. There's a cool concept here with the idea that making games of Pulp Alley grittier and more like more bloodshed and more grit when it comes to your games of Pulp Alley. And the actual optional rule is called gritty. And it reads as thus: in this setting, all dice types over D8 are shifted down to D8, including health. If a character would normally roll a die over a D8, it's automatically shifted down to a D8. It got me thinking about some stuff, right? So this is cool, a cool concept of making, bringing games of Pulp Alley down a little bit and making them a little bit more grittier. So normally Pulp Alley is all about sort of pulse pounding, fist flying, pulpy action. But if you wanted to do a game, in particular, this references westerns, and make them a little bit more grittier, you can use this optional rule in order to lower all the dice types down to a maximum of a D8. So no more D10s, no more D12s, any of that kind of stuff. This lowers all that. Now, it's cool for a Western game. I think that would be really, really fun to do out. It makes the game much more deadlier and possibly even quicker, right? So the idea of being in a Western town, shootouts and such, it makes the game a lot more visceral, if you will. But I was also thinking, I was sitting sort of mulling over it today, and I was thinking that this would be good for just about any historical setting. If you wanted to do sort of like a Napoleonic skirmish type thing, if you wanted to do a Viking type thing, if you wanted to do, pirates, that kind of stuff, using this sort of gritty optional rule would make things a lot more historical, a lot more visceral when it came to playing games of Pulp Alley, still having access to all of the special abilities and the skills and stuff, but capping them at a maximum die type of a D8 really kind of brings things into perspective. Now, another thing I was thinking about too, and I was watching some folks play a game of the Skyrim adventure board game on YouTube earlier, and they were talking about how in their session that they had that particular scenario took place 25 years after they had escaped this war, and they had all gone back to their hometowns, and they had sort of taken up their lives, and sort of they're older now, and had settled into jobs and families and whatnot. One of the things that the person that was running the game had mentioned was that all of their stats were now a point lower because they're older, and they're not as they're not out there training, they're not out there fighting in wars. They still have those skills, but they're not quite as good at them anymore, right? They're not as practiced, they're not as physically fit. And I thought what would be really cool is to use this optional rule for gritty for characters in a scenario that are older, retired. To use the same aspect for things like if you wanted to do a very sort of Lovecraftian game where there was lots of investigation and there was lots of seeking out cultists and secret tomes and mysteries, to keep the characters sort of normal. Call of Cthulhu has always been one of those settings that's been very gritty. It's normal people facing these absolute cosmic horrors and stuff, and a lot of times they don't win. They die horrible deaths, or they find a way to sort of overcome this without fighting it, or finding a way, or some kind of item, or some kind of uh, magical means with which to deal with this terror that they face. And I thought, man, this would be really, really cool, not just for Westerns, but other historical settings, for characters that might be older. Um, it might be, a much more sort of uh, lower tier characters, normal everyday humans facing big things. So the monsters could still have higher stats, but the characters themselves would be capped at a D8. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. Very, very quick video. I've been kind of mulling this over in my head all day. I was thinking about maybe making some characters and running a few games using that rule, whether it be a Western game or some kind of horror thing. I'll let you know when I do, but I just wanted to spitball this and see what you thought about this optional rule inside the Pulp Alley core rulebook. I'm Questwise. Until next time, my friends, please stay safe out there in this crazy world. And as always, game on.